Well, hello to all, and welcome to The Theorist, here with your host, JCBotero67. And I haven't touched base on Promises in a while, and seeing that Anime Cujo is going to take off about a month before she uploads the first chapter of the third arc of Revelations, I figured I would jump back to Promises for a bit. I'm doing this because I don't know the next time Black Rose Eden is going to update. It could be pretty soon, or it could be later on, but all I know is that Revelations can go on hold for a bit. But don't worry, I will have a review on Chapter 28 in the next few days or the following week. But for now, let's go ahead and focus on the first chapter of this episode, Chapter 5 of Promises. So, of course, it started off with CL having a nightmare. And according to Sebastian, every night for the past 2 years, CL would wake up in an anxiety-ridden fit, gasping for air and clawing at Sebastian's arms, seeking comfort and safety. The episodes would last for about 10 minutes, and then abruptly end with CL falling back into a deep sleep. And Sebastian doesn't know what the dreams are about, but they do relate to CL's past. Of course, Sebastian doesn't really know much about CL's past either, but he does know that CL was orphaned at a young age, and that he ended up having to live on his own when he was 15. When I read that part of gasping for air and clawing, if you look back at the anime, or the manga, or both, CL's parents died in that fire that was set to the Phantom Hive estate. Of course, CL was taken by his torturers, but, when I read the whole gasping for air and clawing, I'm thinking that doesn't really relate to flames. Maybe it had to do with water. Maybe in this fanfic, it differs from the original anime or manga in that in the original it was fire that killed his parents and almost killed him. But maybe in this fanfic, it's going to be an opposite thing, and it's related to water. So, that's what I got from that. I don't know about you guys. But gasping for air, I guess, smoke from fire, that could also be the cause. But I think it would be interesting to see a twist with the tragedy that CL had to live through in his childhood. So moving right along, the room seems a bit colder to Sebastian, and so he decides to get up to check the thermostat. And when he sets his foot down on the ground, he feels that the floors are perfectly smooth like glass. And that's when it hits him, and he's like, whoa, wait a second, this board that I'm standing on had markings on it, either yesterday or the other day. And he was gonna look more into it, but then it just kind of slipped his mind, and right now that he remembered, it's gone. Like, he doesn't know if the markings said anything or depicted anything, but it's just such a mystery that they're not there anymore. And even though Sebastian is an expert in the paranormal, this is something completely different to him. And then finishing off this segment of the chapter, Sebastian is just thinking about what it is that keeps him beside CL. What was this uncontrollable urge to be by CL's side, to love, to possess, to protect? So I'm thinking, how close is this going to be to the original? The word possess is on there. Of course, in the original anime manga, CL gives up his soul to Sebastian. Of course, the phrase, to possess, Sebastian could possess CL's soul. And right now, it's not apparent that Sebastian's demon and CL is the soul that he will claim and possess, but it could be later on in the story, this fanfic, that happens. When you guys read that, I don't know what you thought, but feel free to comment and let me know what ran through your mind when you read that. But moving on to the next segment of this chapter, Sebastian is out of the house, leaving CL with Mei Rin, and the two engage in talks about a door down in the cellar that's locked. And for Mei Rin, it seems like it's haunted. And so later in the day, Mei Rin's done all the chores, she's gone home, CL is left alone, and he's having a snack while he's waiting for Sebastian to come back. And suddenly he thinks back to Mei Rin and he's like, oh, did she end up closing the laundry door or did she not? Maybe I should go check, close it for her. And that's when he thinks about the door, the haunted door. And he's like, oh yeah, you know what? I'll go check that out too. So when CL first sees the door, it seems pretty average. But then a sliver of light peeked through the crack of the doorway, a soft blue-white flickering against the dark wood door from the inside. CL stood still, watching it brighten and dim, like a flaming candle, as if someone was on the other side moving around. Eventually, CL's closeness to the door provokes the smells of corpses to return. And of course, CL is reacting badly to it. He's throwing up. He's getting all dizzy. And he struggles to turn back to the door and see what's happening. And suddenly, the blue lights have turned into red ones. And from beyond the door, in a voice so whispery light, he hears the word demon. That segment then ends, enters another one in which we see Sebastian treating CL's scraped knees. And during the treatment, CL had told him all about the door and the things he saw, what he heard, and Sebastian is telling him, oh baby, it's a seizure that you had. And CL's just angry because Sebastian insists that it's a seizure, and CL's like, no, like you have to believe me. I know what I saw, I know what I heard, and it wasn't a seizure. And CL even throws in Sebastian's face like, hey, you're a specialist in the paranormal, so you should know better. And that's pretty much how chapter 5 ends.